Yeah, Vinny. Tom Sneddon has graciously come to talk to us for a few minutes after this case is over and after the news conference you just saw him give. Mr. Sneddon, thanks a lot for being with us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
What did you think when you heard that not guilty, not guilty, not guilty over and over again?
Well, actually, after the second not guilty, we knew what the rest of them were, so sort of tuned out.
Yeah. I know you can't be happy with it. What are you with it? Are you defeated? Are you deflated? Are you mad?
No, disappointed. As I indicated in my press conference, you know, we don't argue with juries' verdicts. That's our job is to put the evidence on. I'm very proud of the job that was done by the members of my staff and by the Sheriff's Department. And we feel that we did an excellent job of representing the people of the state of California. So I'm not apologizing for anything. I think we did a good job, and the jury didn't see it that way. That's their prerogative.
What do you think the jury did see? Do you think they just had reasonable doubt that Tom Mesereau talked about, or do you think maybe they found some fault with, say, this young accuser's mother? She was so controversial.
I don't know. It would be pure speculation to say how they arrived at their verdicts. They obviously, I mean, it's clear when you acquit on all 10 charges that credibility must have been a substantial issue to that jury.
I know you think a lot about children. You have 9 children of your own. You do a lot of child sexual abuse cases. What about the boy at the center of this case now? What happens to him?
Well, that's a difficult question in the sense that I think that, like everybody else who has been a survivor of this kind of thing, that they learn to adjust. I think he'll be hurt because, in the sense that his credibility, and he was very courageous in coming forward in the face of one of the world's most well-known celebrities. And it's like a David and Goliath story, except this time David didn't make it. And so I'm sure that he will feel some of that. I have not had a chance to talk to him yet, but I think I know him well enough to know that he will move forward and he will be a success in life. And he's gone through more in 15 years of life than most of us go through if we live to be 110. I mean, you don't go through the battles that he's been through with cancer and then this trial and all the stress and everything else that goes with it, and stepping up to the plate where a lot of people didn't step up to the plate. I think that tells you a measure of the young man, and I think that tells you a measure of how he will succeed in the face of future obstacles, and he'll do well.
You speak of him as a victim, yet the jury system doesn't really agree with that, do they?
Well, let's just put it this way. The jury obviously felt in their verdict that, for whatever reason, they didn't see it that way. But I would be less than candid if I told you that I didn't think that those of us associated with the case, the Sheriff's Department and the DA's office, believed this young man, or we wouldn't have been here. We believed in him, and for that reason, we felt that this case needed to be tried.
You know, when Tom Mesereau cross-examined that young man, you later said, outside the presence of the jury, to the judge, that in his cross-examination of the accuser, he was as obnoxious and mean-spirited as you had ever seen. Tom Mesereau, your opinion of him today?
Oh, I
see that smile on your face. You're trying not to say something.
This is not a time to be talking of those kinds of things. You know, we were in trial, and people do things in trial and say things in trial. I don't mean to say that I didn't mean what I said to the judge, but I think that it's time to move on.
The judge in this case, you did not get in all the evidence you wanted. You didn't get a battered women's syndrome expert. You didn't get Ken Lanning, the FBI profiler, pedophile profiler, and to talk about the grooming books, the materials. Do you think that made a difference?
No.
No?
No. I really don't. And I have no criticism of the judge. It was a difficult trial for him, and he ran a tight ship, as the media well knows.
Yes, he did.
And he ran a tight ship with regard to the lawyers, and I don't think that anything that the judge said or did during the course of the trial in any way would have affected the outcome of the verdict.
We just saw some pictures as you were sitting down of Michael Jackson arriving back at Neverland in his entourage and all the fans lining the gates and the street to Neverland. Give us your opinion of this man. What kind of man is he in your estimation?
Well, Diane, I don't know that it would be appropriate for me to comment about Michael Jackson. I think we, as lawyers, do our talking in the courtroom. We put our evidence on. I think the evidence speaks for itself. And I don't think it's time for me to be talking about Mr. Jackson one way or the other.
How about a message to any families with young sons who may want to visit Neverland in the future? Do you have any advice for them?
No, I don't.
The 1993 accuser, he and his family got upwards of $20 million back in 1993. I know you talked to him during this investigation and I guess the trial. What did he have to say?
Well, I haven't talked to him recently, so...
Why didn't he want to come and testify?
I think you should probably ask him that question. I don't think...
Can I get his phone number from you?
I'm not the family spokesperson, and I'm not his spokesperson, and I think if that, that's for somebody else, but my guess is he's probably thinking that whatever decision he made was probably the wise one, given what happened. I mean, if you look at somebody like Jason Francia, who testified, who's without any motive to do anything other than tell the truth, it obviously had no impact on the case for the jury's verdict in a case.
He was one of the 1108 witnesses.
Right. I think probably the victim from 93 saying that he made a good decision. In 93 and then now.
goes back to what you were saying at that news conference. You learned some lessons about the power of celebrity. Is that what you mean?
I guess that's what I mean. You tend to think that, you tend to hope that the celebrity status of an individual does not become either a hammer or a shield in a case. And yet, putting aside this trial, the lessons of American trials, is that it is a factor, and all you can do as a prosecutor who is given the responsibility of representing your community is to do what you think is correct based on the evidence and the testimony and the investigation and the believability of the victim, and do what's right for the right reasons. And if something doesn't work out the way that you think it should work out, that's part of the system. But that doesn't mean you don't do your job because you're afraid that somebody's a celebrity or somebody can buy their way out of something. I mean, all I know is that there are a lot of people who have come up to me and said to me, I'm very grateful for what you're doing no matter what happens. This has been over the months, and that you're not allowing somebody with a lot of money to influence your decision to do what was right. And I just say that that's the way we operated in this case. So I have no apologies for what we did. I feel very strongly that we did the right thing for the right reasons. We had the right lawyers on the case. I was very blessed to be with two fine prosecutors like Gordon and Ron, and I have no apologies to make for what we did. I think we worked our tail off, and I think we did a good job of presenting the evidence. That's a simple way it is.
Do you think Michael Jackson got a fair trial, or do you think Michael Jackson got more than a fair trial?
No, I'm not going to bite into that one.
Okay, how about this one? Unindicted co-conspirators. There were at least 5, maybe as many as 8, according to your state papers. Any trials, any upcoming indictments, does all that just go away, or do you pursue them?
Well, Diane, I learned a long time ago you don't make a decision about something important at least for 48 or 72 hours until the dust is settled, so I wouldn't have any comment about that right now.
Can I talk about you for a minute? You have been a DA how long?
I've been a DA 37 years.
And how many?
Deputy. I've been a prosecutor for 37 years. I've been DA for 22 years.
And how many cases have you lost before today?
Well, only 4.
Now it's 5.
Now it's 5. I guess I'm going out with a whimper rather than a bang.
You have had a long career, many of them child sexual abuse cases, but this is going to be your legacy, isn't it?
I hope not. I think the people, it may be in the media, but the media doesn't have a legacy. You move on to the next story next week, so there's not a lot of legacy there. In terms of this community, in this county where I've worked for 37 years, no, I don't think that's my legacy. My legacy is we have one of the finest prosecuting offices in the state of California. I have outstanding staff. We have dedicated investigators and support staff, and we win most all our cases, and we lost this one. That's the way it is. It's a big one. I'm not gonna shy away from that. But the fact of the matter is, last Friday we won a death penalty. We won a case, a very, very difficult murder case, where they're now in the penalty phase. And Monday before that, we won a case, a sexual assault case in Santa Barbara, where the defendant's now facing a life sentence for multiple offenses. So we do a lot of very important work in this county, and no, I don't think this is my legacy. But if it, so be it. I mean, I'm comfortable with that.
I noticed as you walked over here from the courthouse, which is directly behind me, you had, Lieutenant Jeff Klopakis, you had the lead detective Steve Robel, you had another bodyguard with you. Talk to me about your safety during this time, because there have been a lot of threats toward you, haven't there?
Well, let's just put it this way. The threat factor probably just got inflated by the jury's verdict, so I'm not as concerned about it as I would have been.
Or got deflated, you mean?
Well, deflated, yeah. Did I say inflated? No, deflated. This is the correct word.
Wasn't it true that at one time you were thinking about carrying a gun, or was carrying a gun during the investigation part?
Well, I think I could put it this way, in a way that you would understand it, since you've had some difficulties, I understand, from reading in the paper, that much of what I saw in 93 and 94, I saw again this time, and it is clearly something not to take lightly.
The intimidation factor.
Well, not the intimidation, just the risk factor for you or your family or innocent people who may get in the way. And but that's a part of the job that people really don't understand. I mean, you understand it because you've been a part of it, but
you had to change your home phone number for the first time in, what, 30 years?
We had to take some precautions. I mean, it's very disconcerting when your wife and your daughter are at home and the Santa Barbara Police Department SWAT team comes in to do a walkthrough just in case something happens. I mean, that's...
Did that happen?
Yeah, well, of course it happened. Of course it happened. And those are the kind of things that people out in the public don't understand when they talk about this revenge thing and this motive thing. I mean, why anybody with half an ounce of brain would put their family at risk over something as petty as revenge is beyond me. But that's a factor, and it's probably no longer a factor.
There was one point in this trial, toward the end of this trial, where you were greeted at the top of the stairs at the second floor district attorney's office by Joe Jackson, weren't you? That's true. And he jostled you, didn't he?
No, I don't want to get into that. It's just history. It's over with. Let's just let it go.
One more question from me. I don't know if anyone in New York has a question. If tomorrow someone showed up at your office and said, I was molested by Michael Jackson, what would you do?
I wouldn't be there.
You'd be playing golf, right?
I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to be doing, but I won't be in the office tomorrow.
All right. Let me ask it to you this way. Some people are saying you tried long and hard. You put on a good case. You failed. And Michael Jackson now has carte blanche to live his life any way he wants, with whomever he wants, whenever he wants. Would any prosecutor ever take him on again?
Well, Diane, let me answer it this way. I'm a pretty active member in the National District Attorneys Association. I know a lot of prosecutors throughout the country. They're very courageous, they're very brave, they're very honest, and they're very straightforward. And I know a lot's been made about me stepping forward and taking this case on, but I know a lot of people in a lot of jurisdictions that are friends and colleagues of mine that would have done the same thing, because prosecutors as a group believe in doing the right thing for the right reason.
Good versus evil?
Well, I don't know about good versus evil. It's just that it's their job. That's why we do this thing. We're to help people and to protect people, and we take it seriously what our obligation is. They're telling you to wrap this up.
They certainly are. You didn't know that he can hear you say wrap as well. Mr. DA, thank you very much.
Thank you,
See
Diane.
you down the road somewhere.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, back to you in New York.